yet. We are being recorded today, and know that this session will be posted within my Canvas course along with all of the Google Slide presentation and the Smart Learning Suite online presentation. I am Kelly Miksch, one of the educational technology ed tech and design coordinators in the Office of Educational Technology and Extended Learning. Getting my tongue tied today. We're here to, continue to grow your skills, and just really be a support for you on how we can help things become future ready, bring technology into your TEKS and bring in the technology applications and just really help your job be easier. So we're here to help you. Know that you can come to our website and, we're here to support you. We've got things there. Again, all of these links will be, except for the sign-in link, will be in the Canvas course. So if you haven't before, and I think everybody's already in the Canvas course, but if you haven't joined before, definitely go and join my Canvas course so that way you can have access to everything. So with that said, I am going to turn it, well, I got one more, then I get to turn it over to you. Just a reminder, we have our EdTech PD portal that has sessions that are anytime, anywhere that you can do. Casey and I only have 2 more Wednesdays after today. Casey, I was looking at the calendar.
Can't believe it.
I know, we've been full, end of January all the way till end of April. So the other sessions are there, so feel free to come and attend them. And also, if you just want to have some brainstorming opportunities, come to our office hours from 4 to 5, Monday through Friday. We're here to kind of help you, come with a tea, come with an idea, and it doesn't have to just be on Smart. It can be with the swivel, it can be with Pear Deck, it can be, anything that you want, you have in your room, come to us. We're here to support you. So with that, now I will turn it over to Casey. We're fortunate to be in a partnership with Smart Technologies. And, for those of you who have been here a couple times, Casey and I have been doing our Smart Skill Wednesdays, and she's going to be here to continue on. And then we'll be building some additional trainings for probably the summer and all next year. So I'm going to pass it over to Casey.
Yeah, so it's good to be with you guys today. I definitely recognize some of you guys. I know I've been working with you, but just as a reminder, my name's Casey and I do work for Smart as a professional development specialist, but I was in the classroom first. So I taught for 20 years in Northeast ISD, not too far from you guys before starting this job. My specialty was early childhood. So I did K-5, mostly early childhood, K-2. The first part of my career in the last 11 years in the classroom, I was a gifted and talented specialist and worked with kinder through 5th too. We had a pull-out program, so I had a different grade level each day, which was really fun. So I know, Amanda, you work with the littles. That's where my heart was for sure too. So feel free to reach out to me with any questions, or if you're looking for resources too, I have a bunch of things that are focused on that pre-K, kinder group of students I'm happy to support you with as well. So make sure that you reach out with any of those types of questions you have. So we're going to start today with you guys getting sort of walking through a student experience. The reason we're here today is to really think about ways that we can simply and effectively incorporate some interactive activities with our students in the learning. This has been an extremely challenging year for engagement with our students working from home, having some in class, and then, kind of easing some of those kids back in. It's been really hard. And we really want to think about what can we do to continue to help support our kids and make them feel part of the lesson, no matter their age, no matter where they are in the world when they're learning with you. So we're going to talk about some of the easy wins that Smart has to offer you in that respect. So one of the things that we really have been working to help you guys understand as well is that we can be used within Canvas so that your students can stay inside of their Canvas account and not have to go to an external website. So if you guys, because you're going to be my students first, so you can actually go into Kelly's Canvas training course in your Canvas. So if you want to get in your class link and open your Canvas account, once you're in there, You're going to click on courses, or you may see it in the dashboard like I do, and click on Canvas training course for Kelly. And what Kelly's done is on the left side, you'll see SMART. And that SMART, what she's done is she's created a redirect loop, which allows you guys to open my lesson as students right inside of Canvas. So if you click on SMART on the left side here, what that will do in just a minute is it's going to pop up a website called hellosmart.com, which is where we send our students if we want to do any synchronous learning with our kids. You're going to just join me as a guest today. You may see a screen like mine because I've joined other classes before. So I know, John, you've joined me before. So you'll see this Get Smarter 11-3-11 class that you can just click on and join. If you're here for the first time, you might see join as guest or sign in. Just join as guest. Then you'll enter the class, join a new class, or click on the class that says 11-3-11. So you'll type in 11-3-11. And then you'll hit next, enter your name, and choose join as guest. When you do that, that should open for you today's bio slide. It should pull you in exactly on the page I'm on right now in today's presentation. So I can see that Kelly's already in. I'm going to give you guys a couple minutes. So again, you're going to open your Canvas account. You're going to go to courses and click on Kelly's course. On the left side, you'll see SMART as an option. And then you're going to click Join as Guest. And you'll enter my class ID, which is 11-3-11, your first name, and then you'll actually click the blue bar to say Join as Guest.
Now, normally for your students, you would have your students join with their logins. So if you've never done this before, always give yourself a little bit of extra time the first time. And like Casey said, us who have joined before are going to see this. So after the first time, you will see this screen. So your students will see that. And again, they'll be able to join very quickly. But that first time, give yourself a little bit of time and just know that you can build out that redirect button so that it's always there. So part of your routine is your students come into their Canvas course. You're going to be running a SMART lesson today. And again, in that routine is open the Canvas course, go to the SMART button, click on your name, and boom, they're ready to go and waiting for you to begin the lesson. So
yeah,
trying to give as few clicks and as few tabs as the kids need. And especially with our little bitties, having to type in things, type in letters who they may not know yet, again, trying to give it as nice, ease and simple way of getting in there. Plus with staying in Canvas, it allows us to continue to track where the kids are, because once they bounce out to an external tab, we lose that data that we've collected here in the district.
Right. So, and like Kelly said, I know that first time getting kids signed in using their credentials can bring on some tears, mostly by the teachers probably, right? But once they've signed in once and they've joined your class, you can notice that I can see all the different classes that I've joined here. So I don't have to re-sign in or rejoin a class. I can just click, oh, here's Mr. Maddox's class right here. I'm just going to click on it and it'll pull me in. So it makes it a smoother, easier process. But that first time, yeah, getting them signed in and for those younger kids and getting them to type in all the information that they need, I know that takes a little bit more time. So you want to think about that before you get to be using it.
Okay, so I'm that younger kid and I'm just
You're good. You're good. That's what we're, it's great because these are small groups, so we can really take our time, Amanda. So
yes. Okay, so let's see. There it is.
So were you able to get into the Canvas course, Kelly's Canvas course?
Yes.
Is it not letting
go
Canvas?
We go back to SMART. I go to
Looks like we have John and Kelly and Jane in. So it looks
Yeah,
like
man. Oh, here's my join as a guest.
yes, join as guest. And then
Great.
my class code is 11311.
Okay.
And then you'll put in your first name. And then you should see a join class. Did that work for you, Amanda?
I've got your page back, your Casey.
Are you looking at, so you should see this. Yeah, you should see this. So when you actually click on getting smarter, yeah, you should see that. So I can see you in here, Amanda. Look, your name's over here. You're where you're supposed to be. I know it's a little weird. So one of the things is you'll notice is on the left-hand side over here as a teacher, I have these little people, and these people are going to do multiple things for me. But one of the things I can do is I can actually see who's in my class.
Oh, cool.
I can see Amanda, Jane, and John and Kelly are all in here right now. As Kelly mentioned, you would have your kids sign in. I had you guys join as a guest because if you get kicked off or if you I'm not planning on having you keep working on this tomorrow or anything like that. So it's okay for you not to be in here logged in. But for our students, we would want them to sign in because it allows them, if there's something, maybe they close their browser by accident, maybe their device dies, maybe they get picked up early for an appointment. If they're signed in, when they go back and sign back into that lesson, they are all of their work saved. They can come right back in and continue working, which is really great. All right, so like I said, I have just a few things I want to kind of highlight that are something easy for you to add, simple and effective ways to build that interactivity for our kids. So the first thing I'm going to introduce you to is actually something that is brand new as in this morning. We now have word searches that we can create for our students. So if we want our students to work on decoding or letter recognition or introducing new vocabulary words, things along those lines, we can now easily, quickly create a word search. It's very fast. All we're going to type in is the words that we want them to find. And we can make this word search as simple or as complicated as we need to do. So all of you will see that you have a start button here. You can click your own start button. You don't have to wait for me, the teacher, to hit start. You can click your own. I'm going to hit start on mine. One of the neat things is all of our word searches are slightly different. So I can start filling in mine, like I just found a word, but my word may not be in the same spot as your word, and that's okay. So here we can have our students, we have a list of words that we want them to find. They can click and drag until they've built that word. And when they do, it'll be crossed out for them. You'll notice that they can also click for hints. So if they're struggling, they can click for a hint, and then they can look and see, okay, what part of that word, what part of this word is here. Now this word this word search that I've created here, I set up to be at a moderate difficulty level. And obviously I have added some more challenging words. First, if we're thinking about Amanda, your kids, I might add just some CVC words. Instead of having 12 letters across, I might have 6 letters or 5 letters across. So I have a lot of power on how I personalize this for my students. I can make it more difficult. I can have words backwards, diagonal, forwards, backwards, all depending on what my difficulty level is. And I could even increase, so I could have a more complex word search with more letters across and things along those lines as well. So just a fun new way to introduce new words to your students, or have your kids work on decoding, like I said. Skimming and scanning, this is a great way to do that as well. So something new and fun that did not exist for us at 8 o'clock this morning. So it just went live. So this is a great way. I like to use these more as like an introductory piece that's going to lead into a fuller, more robust lesson later. But they can also be good things for just rainy days, or just as good fun activities to do as well. So something to keep in mind. They're very simple to build, and we'll show you how to build them in just a little bit. I just found another word, so I have to cover it up. Any thoughts or questions so far? All right. So one of the things you may notice is that when I move pages, you guys move pages too. And that's because I have this set up to teacher pacing. So I told you those little people on the left side as a teacher give me a couple of options, tells me who's in my class, but it also allows me to switch between teacher paced and student paced. So right now I'm set to teacher pace, so I'm bringing my students along for the ride. So if I want them to move pages, I keep them in teacher pace, I move, they move. So I'm in control of what we're doing. Okay, so another thing I wanted to bring up to you guys is one of my favorite tools, and I use this so often and for a wide variety of reasons. It's a shout it out. It's a great way to have students share information with us. And again, this is up to us what types of questions we ask or how we use it. So in this case, if I was doing something on springtime, I might ask my students, hey, what comes to mind when you think of springtime? And my kids can share and brainstorm. But I could do other simple things, like I could have my students just practice typing their names, and that would be a great thing to do for the younger students, where they're just working on their typing skills, finding the letters of their name, or even simple popcorn words or things like that. For my older students, I can have them do a quick write. We have 2 minutes to summarize everything we learned. So you can really personalize it, again, to what your students are doing. And we also have the ability to customize it so that it has text, images rather than text. So I'm going to hit start for class. What you'll see on your side is a little white box that you can type in, and you're just going to share something that comes to your mind when you think about springtime. And you'll see, I think I gave you 5 opportunities to share 5 different ideas. So you'll type in your idea and just send it up. And again, I gave you 5 opportunities so you can share more than one option. Fiesta, yes. We were talking about we need to make a word search with just Fiesta words for our San Antonio folks. So one of the nice things is if you peek on the teacher side, so the teacher side does look a little bit different. So imagine this being showcased on a Zoom call or on your board, depending on how you're working with students. I, as a teacher, can showcase y'all's responses. I can touch one and it magnifies, so it's easier for our students to see. We can also organize and sort, so I can have students come to the board and actually touch and move these words and sort them, which is neat as well. And notice that we have different ways. So some people, taxes, bring in, all in one space versus someone else may share up multiple responses at a time. So a shout out is a great way, and we can customize, again, the background. So imagine with your students, you're going to start a new subject on something. Maybe you're going to be talking about weathering, and you can pull in a really cool image that demonstrates erosion, where your students can study that image and start sharing questions that they have or things that reminds them of, things along those lines. So you can really use this tool in a lot of different ways. Exit tickets, entrance tickets. I like to use it to collect pictures of my students' work as well. Especially with my younger students, I'd have them we'd share pictures of their work up here. That way everybody's work is on the smartboard, but I don't have to have all 20 of them stand up and share their work, right? I can go and kind of pick and choose, but everybody's work, everyone has a voice, everyone's work is there. So just something to think about. This is very easy to build as well, and we'll kind of talk about that too. One thing I want to point out, especially for anyone who teaches older students or for exit tickets, for example, on the left side as a teacher, one of the options I have is this settings bar tool. When I click on that, it allows me to turn off names. So if I have students and that are older, sometimes they don't want to share because they're afraid of being judged by their responses, I can turn their names off. And I can always turn them back on later. Or if I'm asking a tough question, like share something that you were really challenged with today, they may not want to share if their name's attached. So I can turn it off and then I can turn that back on later to use that to kind of guide my instructions or small groups for the next day. My kindergartners didn't really care if their names were on it, even if their answers were wrong. They were just happy their work was up there. So different things to think about with different grade levels. So that's called a shout out. And it's, again, very quick for us to add to any lesson in a really effective way to give students voice in your classroom. Any questions or anything you want to talk about before we move on? All right. So one of the other things I want to showcase is we have a variety of ready-made manipulatives. They're already built for us. We have these on the board as well, but we also have access to them within Smart Learning Suite Online, and they're all customizable. So we can add directions, we can use them in a variety of different ways. So right now, if you guys were to try and move any of these shapes, you'll see that you can't. And that's because this page is set to view only for my students right now. I can ahead of time make this decision, but I often like to, especially with my littles, talk about it and first, give some instructions first. So today you guys are going to use the pattern blocks to create something that reminds you of spring. So think about something that comes to mind when you think of spring, and you're going to use the pattern blocks to build it. So at this point, I can click on those same people. So the people help me know who's in my class. I can switch between the pacing. But when I click on the people, I also get a pop down right below my picture that allows me to decide if I want to give each kid their own copy, or if I want kids working in teams together. So in this case, I want you guys to each be able to have your own copy and use the pattern blocks independently. So I'm going to make this an individual handout. And just like that, I have given all of you guys your own pattern blocks and your own paper to work on. You guys can hit start on your end, and your names will populate here so that I can actually see your work in action. So I can see all of you guys clicked start. Now you can actually click and drag the different pattern blocks up. You can rotate them, you can move them around and play with them. As a teacher, I have my own version in the bottom right corner, so I can pull out my own teacher handout to model for my students as well. So I can think about what I want to build. Maybe I'm going to build a flower. So I'm going to pull these in and rotate them. So each of you guys can create something else. You can maybe have kids that might create an umbrella, all sorts of things. But it's also giving your students pattern blocks in their hands right now, which I know in today's world, handing out tiny little things for tiny little hands to be touching and then trying to clean those is not the easiest thing. So being able to make those digitally is really great. And a lot of these have been built ahead of time for you. You can make your own using infinite cloners, but we have some that you can customize and use today instead of having to start sort of from scratch as well. And as a teacher, I can come and peek in to see how each of you guys are doing. So I can come see if, oh, look, Kelly's in action. I can see her building right now. I can see her leaves, her stem. She's creating a flower just like I was. I can come and check in to see if Amanda's in action. Yep, I see Amanda going. So you can come and check in to see how your students are working. And the other neat thing is, if you'll notice, as a teacher, I have some tools on my left side, just like you do as students. So I can actually give feedback to Amanda. So I can say, great job. How do flowers grow? So I can even engage her with other questions, and she can respond to me as well. So she'll see that I wrote to her. She'll see my feedback. I could give digital stickers. Yes, Jane?
What do I click on to be able to rotate?
Great question. Let's go into, I'm going to show you right quick on my teacher handout, Jane. So if I want to finish my flower over here, I'm going to click on the my pattern block, and I'm going to drag it. Then if I want to rotate, I'm going to actually click on it, and I'm going to have two options. The corner is going to grow my shape. The circle in the middle is going to allow me to rotate. So if I click on that circle, it allows me to turn it how I want to turn it.
Okay, thank you.
Sure, good question. So I love that I can check in on my students' work, and I can give them feedback in real time so they can see that I'm looking at their work as they're moving along. All right, so those are manipulatives. One other quick win, I think, something easy for us to add to any lesson to make it interactive for our kids are also a group of graphic organizers. One thing I just noticed, Kelly just said she's done. Notice she has a green check mark. There's a done button in the top right corner. So Kelly's indicated to me that she thinks she's done. I can click on Kelly and I can see her work. Oh, she even added a bird. I love it. But know what I can do?
It was supposed to be the sun.
If I think Kelly, if I know Kelly is up for more than this, I can say to her, Kelly, I would love you to write 3 sentences to go with your picture. So you can help extend the activities for your students in real time as well, and to differentiate as also. So if you have some students that need to be pushed a little versus students that you might need to support and have a small group with, you can do that as well. So I really like that we have that back and forth ability too. John looks done too. All right, so the next thing, like I said, is graphic organizers. These are also something that we can easily add and personalize. So this is called a thinking frame. I added all the text here that I wanted for my students to do. The one is the words that were in my word search actually came from this poem by Jamal May. So at this point, I might want my students to read this poem. I might want them to rate this poem. So here they have stars where they can drag them down to give it 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 stars. The other thing that I did is I added the ability to move these words around. So this is like magnetic poetry, like that poetry that you might have on your refrigerator. Your kids can click and drag and build their own poem. So I could start like flowers windswept, secret garden. Like I can start pulling down and building a poem using these words. I also, because you guys have some tools in just a moment, you're going to see some tools on your left side, you can add some additional words. So if there's a word or two that you want to add to your poem that's not here, you could do that. And you can also add images quickly. So we're going to get to play with that for just a moment. Again, I could make this a handout ahead of time, so it's already set up. Sometimes I like to walk through it first, and then I'm going to click on the people and make this an individual handout. And so now, just like before with the pattern blocks, you guys can hit start. And when you hit start, you're going to notice on the left side, you have a variety of tools. You'll also notice this star is infinitely cloned. So if I want to give this poem 5 stars, I can just drag and drop to show that I think this poem deserves 5 stars or 3 stars or what have you. And then these words are movable, so you can drag them to create your own poem. But there's also a text. So if I wanted to add the word colorful in my poem, I can click on the A, click anywhere on my screen, and now I can add that word colorful to go with colorful flowers. So I can really decide how I want to use that as well. Then you'll also notice on that left side as a student, you have that pen tool, eraser. You have an image tool with the mountains. If you click on that, I can actually find, so if I'm thinking this poem's about a garden or growing a garden, I can do it being safe search for garden. And it's going to bring up a variety of pictures. I can click on one. It's going to add it. In the corner, this little blue circle, I can click and drag in to resize it and place it on my page. And again, I can come in and check on each of you guys as well to see how you're working. See, Amanda's working on her poem. So we can come in and check in real time too to see how our students are working along. And again, you are in charge of the content, so you can make the graphic organizers as simple or as complicated as you need to, depending on what you're covering in your class, right? So if I'm teaching pre-K, I'm not going to have a graphic organizer filled with a bunch of words like this, right? Instead, I could have some pictures and have examples, non-examples that they drag or something along those lines. So I can really decide how I'm using this. Or maybe I'm going to have my students have, I might have a number in the center here and have them do different things with the number in each of the 4 corners. So you can really personalize it and decide what you want your kids to do on that graphic organizer. Or a teacher can actually use the graphic organizer as a whole class activity too, and not hand this out directly to the students.
I was gonna say, we're working on rhyming, so that was the first thing that came to my mind with that graphic organizer.
Yeah, and so you can definitely add in. So with rhyming, what you could do is have some rhyming words, and they have to match the rhyming words, or you have pictures with a word and match those. So there's a lot of ways you can use this because you're in charge of your content. That's why I like that I can personalize them. So at this point, what I'm going to do is have you guys get in as teachers and walk through building something that you would use with your students, kind of highlighting those simple, quick and simple wins. So I started with a word search. That is one of our different games that we can add in. All of our games are quick and easy to build. I then added a shout it out and I customized it. So we'll practice that as well. And then I added in a manipulative and a graphic organizer.
And one of the things I want to call out in the graphic organizers, Casey, and I don't know if you want to open them back up, know that we have Avid graphic organizers in there. Smart has gone and put in some additional Avid ones. So we've got several campuses within the district that have Avid with them. So it's another great way to include different pieces.
Right. So we took a lot of the very traditional, very well used and loved graphic organizers that are used in the Avid course, whether it's Cornell Notes or whether it is a T-chart, all of those things that we use very often in the Avid course. We've added those as graphic organizers for our users. We have an Avid partnership, so we've worked really hard to make sure those things all kind of work together. And so even if you don't do the Avid elective, you have many students that are being trained in that way. And it's important for us to use that in our own classrooms so that they're seeing how these work outside of just that elective too. All right, so now let's get into the teacher side of things. So what I'm going to have you guys do right now is in the top left corner, you're going to see 3 white lines. You can go ahead and click on that and choose to leave my class. And then what I'd love for you guys to do is I'd like for you to open your school's Google Drive account. So I'm going to get into my work Google Drive account. Again, you'll know you're in your Google Drive because your school's Google Drive, because it'll have that SAISD in the top right corner over here. If you just go to Google, I'll do that really quickly. If you go to Google, you will see the little waffle, the Google Apps waffle. And if you click on that, Drive will be the one with the triangle. So you can click on that. I think it's also accessible through ClassLink. Kelly, is that right?
Yes, our Google Drive is accessible through ClassLink. So if you don't have a tab already open with your Google Drive, then go ahead and go into ClassLink and then click on the Google Drive. Or it's actually in a Google folder, and then there's drives in there.
When you have your school's Google Drive account open, if you'll give me a quick thumbs up so I know you are ready to go on. I don't want to leave anyone behind. All right, John looks ready. Amanda said she's ready. How are you doing, Jane?
My Google Drive does not have school lessons in it. Mine is all academic. I mean, administrative.
That's all right, Jane, because you don't need any. We're not going to start with content we already have today. We're actually going to explore some of the tools inside of Smart itself.
Okay.
But it's still launched right within our Google Drive, which is great. So one of the things that that's really nice for you guys as users is that we're going to stay in the Google ecosystem. We're going to stay within Google. We're going to stay within Canvas. We're not going to have to go to an external place. So when you're in your school's Google Drive, underneath the triangle, there's that new button with the plus. Go ahead and click on new. And then you're going to slide down till you see the word more. and another side pocket will open up, and you're going to slide down until you see Smart Learning Suite, and you're going to click on it. So I'll go through that step again. Underneath Drive, click on New, click on More, and then slide down and click on Smart Learning Suite. When you do, if you have signed in the past, it's going to open a second tab with your Smart Learning Suite library. All of your lessons are going to be built and saved inside of your Google Drive. If you've never signed in before, you're going to have a window that pops up that says Teacher Sign In the bottom right corner and Student Sign in the top left. Click Teacher Sign In. And you'll sign in with your school's Google credentials. So just like getting into your Google Drive, you're going to use that same email and password. It may ask, if you've never done this process before, it may ask if you're an adult or a minor. So you'll just mark adult. It may ask for a display name. That's just what your students call you. And it may try and show you a little welcome video. You can X out of that video. Your goal is to get to a screen that kind of looks like mine. Yours may have just a blue bar across the top instead of monsters, but you should see a green bar that says Add Activities, a blue Explore Resources, and then a gray Training button. If you are seeing that, will you give me a thumbs up so I know you're ready? If not, let us help you find that spot. Okay, so Jane and John, you're good. Amanda,
Mine says my trial has expired. Does your school have a subscription? Remember,
Wait.
Kelly, because I'm not the teacher.
Yeah, let me go back in and see what's going on. I thought we had fixed all of them. So give me a couple minutes. Let me see what I've
Okay.
got.
Okay, I'll wait.
We'll get you set up, Amanda. We'll get you set up. If you, Amanda, if you have, well, we'll give Kelly a second. But if not, if you have a personal email, we can get you in there just to play around for a minute. Up to you.
I can use. So do I go back to my Google Drive?
Amanda, but here's what I'm going to have you. Yeah.
Running two computers.
Yeah. So here's what I'm going to do, Amanda. Open a tab, like a fresh tab. You're not going to go through Drive today, just because we're going to use your personal email. And I want you to go to Suite, S-U-I-T-E, suite.smarttech.com.
Okay.
Okay.
Let me
so suite.smarttech.com. I'll actually throw that in the chat for you.
Yeah, because so what I did was I went on to my school computer from my main computer because I'm at the house. So I was trying to get.
Yeah. So, basically what Kelly has to do is she just has to authenticate your email address to give you a full license. But for today, what we can do is we can have you sign in and do a free license under a personal email. So if you go to suite.smarttech.com, or here, actually, let me do it because I'll be able to walk you through it. So if you go to suite.smarttech.com, I'm kind of walking you through on my device. When you get here, you should see in the top right corner in a second, you should see a Get Started for Free button, or right in the middle. Have you gotten to this website, Amanda?
Get started for free.
Yeah, Get Started for Free. And then what you will do is you'll just you'll sign in with a personal email.
I'm gonna have to sign in with a different account because it came up to my other one. It said, "Welcome back, Amanda."
That's fine.
I
have a million accounts. I feel like I keep making Google
accounts.
Sign
in with a different one. Sign in with Google. Different account.
How are you doing, Amanda?
Trying to sign in to my personal Google so that it'll let me in.
Perfect.
Sorry, guys. It says I agree. Come on.
You're good. John and Jane, if you let's see who else is with us. Lamissa, if you want to click on the green add activities button.
Oh.
That's where we're gonna start. And remember, this is our creation dashboard. So I'm going to get you guys started and then I can help Amanda catch up in just a second. So
Okay.
what we're going to start today with a game-based activity. So click on that game-based activity under activity templates. Now you guys can choose any game you want to. I'm going to start with word search, our newest game, to kind of showcase how you can use it. So if you want to do that with me, you're welcome to. So all you're going to do is actually click on the word search button. And you're going to have a little wizard that helps us walk through the steps. So here, and again, this can be as simple or as complicated as you need it to be. So if you're doing a novel with your students, if you're doing a new, if you're going to start a new unit and you want to introduce them to some new vocabulary that's going to be important to know throughout the unit. If you want to do some CVC words like Amanda might want to do, completely up to you. I'm going to keep mine simple. I'm going to think CVC words with.
Welcome to Smart Learning Street Online.
Oh, Amanda, you're getting there. You can X that out.
Okay.
And you can just add, go ahead and add a few words. All right, so Amanda, just to kind of know, so you can, I can walk where, show you where you are. The rest of you keep working on your words. I'll come back to you guys in just a second. Is you should have a window that looks like this, that looks kind of like mine. And we clicked on this green add activities button. So click on that. And there's a bunch of things we can do here. One of the things we're focusing on right now is the game-based activities in the right corner.
I've clicked it.
Perfect. And then there's a bunch to choose from. And if you look at the magnifying glass, it'll pop it out to kind of show you what that game is. Like memory match is a great one for you. Capitals and lowercase letter matches, all sorts of things. I'm doing the word search today. So you just click on the word search and it brings up a wizard. All of our games are going to bring up a really simple wizard to follow along.
Amanda, it'll take like 2-3 minutes. Tamara Holcomb's going to add you in. For some reason, you have dropped out of our data. So she's going to put you in and let me know in just a minute. She's going to do it real quick.
I've dropped out of everybody's data.
It has
Today,
been...
no, today was the day because I got told that they didn't know that I'm eligible to teach. They're like, you're not anywhere on a roster. I'm like,
oh,
I took that test 5 years ago.
Then.
I'm like, come on.
So you're still an instructional assistant, correct?
Yes.
Okay. I just want to make sure that when she puts you all in, it's coded correctly. Okay.
Yeah, I'm still an IA. ECSEIA.
Got it.
So if you look on the word search, you can put a title that's optional. On the right side, I can change my grid size. So it defaults to 12 letters across and down. I can change that. So if I'm working with some younger students, I can really make that grid size much smaller, down to like 8 letters. Notice also I can change the difficulty level. So I can do easy, which means it's only going to be vertical and horizontal words, no backwards, no diagonal. If I do moderate, I'm going to have vertical, horizontal, and diagonal, but no backwards. And if I do difficult, I'm going to have the whole shebang. So for something like this, for my younger students, I'm going to keep it easy, and I'm going to change the grid size to be pretty small. I can hit next, and then I have a couple of different backgrounds I can choose from. So I can do a simple background, I can do some of these game type backgrounds, or our traditional monster background. And then I'm going to click finish. And so just like that, you've built yourself a word search that's tied into your lesson or your activities.
Oh, mine says couldn't create the lesson. Sorry, Google Drive isn't responding at this moment. We couldn't save your changes. Please try again later. Okay.
That is interesting. Can you, Jane, can you close that and I'm gonna, well, actually, here's what I'm gonna have you do.
Do a refresh.
Yeah,
Sometimes that happens.
Hit the refresh in the top left first. If that doesn't work, then I'm going to have you do something else as well. So you can preview your activity. So if you hit preview, you can actually test it out. So I can open it. I can make sure it's kind of set up the way that I want it to be set up and that I think it's appropriate for my students. So I actually have that opportunity to kind of test it out myself first, which is really great too. And then I can X out to close that. So that's the ability to add a word search quickly and easily. You can see not long at all. You can even copy and paste words. So if you have a list of words on an assessment that you have coming up or something like that, you can actually just copy and paste those words. Jane, did the refresh work for you or no?
It took me back to the beginning. So I'm entering in some more words to try it over again.
Try just 2 or 3 words, Jane, so you don't get too far in, and test it out. If not, if that doesn't work, I'm gonna have you sign out and sign back in really quickly. Any questions, Amanda, John, or Lamissa about word search or building great games like that? Awesome. Okay, so one other thing that I want to point out is that at the bottom left corner, you have that blue plus button that allows us to add in additional content. So if I wanted to layer in more than just a word search, like I did with my lesson with you guys, I can click that blue bar. And I have some other tools that I can add in. So if I look down in the bottom ready-made resources, notice that I have that green button that says manipulatives. So go ahead and click on manipulatives. And this is our playground right now. So this does not have to connect at all to your word search. We're just playing around. It can connect if you want it to, totally up to you. But there's a bunch of different tools that we can use, and I use them for in all different types of ways. I use often the making words one to do a quick, one word summary for my older students. Lots of options here. If I have students that are working on coins, one of the great things is we have digital coins that are already created. So if I click on coins, it's going to add that page automatically, which is great. And then I can customize this page. If I look up, I have the ability to add text or pictures to any of my pages. So if I want to add some directions, I can click on that A, click anywhere on my screen, find 2 ways to make $1.21. I can add those directions. I can click on this, and using that blue corner, I can drag to resize this as well. Now, one of the things I want to point out for you guys is when you add content, whether it's a text, whether it's an image, whatever it is, when you click on it, you're always going to get a bar around, a square around it, a rectangle around it. And then the top corner, you're going to always see a blue circle with a white down arrow. That down arrow is a really good thing to explore. When I click on it, notice that I can lock my text in place so my students can't delete or change it. I can duplicate. So if I needed to write something more than one time, I could do that. One of the other things to note is we can infinitely clone objects. So if you wanted to make your own manipulatives, so if you wanted to make Unifix cubes or teddy bear counters, you can add those to a blank page or a page like this and infinitely clone them so they never run out. I'll show you a quick example. So if I click that mountain, I could do this with numbers too, or text as well. I'm just going to search for a star clip art for now. I can take any of these, I can resize them, and if I click on that down arrow, I can infinitely clone it. So now my students will never run out of stars. So if I was using this to help them count, maybe we had the number 5 and they're showcasing how many what 5 looks like, things like that. You have that ability. And then all of these coins under here are automatically set up to be infinitely cloned. You can always delete them. So if you are only introducing your students to certain coins, you could delete some of these as well. I'm going to leave them as is. So we looked up to add content, add text or pictures. If we look down, notice there's a convert to activity button. You guys saw me convert my pages to handouts right in front of you in real time. I can do that, but I can also make the decision when I'm still in editing mode and make that decision now and convert in this second. So I'm going to click convert to activity. In this case, I could have students do this as an individual handout. Maybe I'm doing it as a check for understanding, almost as a formative assessment, and I want my kids to do this by themselves. And so I can see how each student's doing with their coin counting. Or maybe I want to put the kids in small groups and they're going to work together to find 2 ways to make $1.21. I can choose which one I want to do. In this case, I think I want my students to work in pairs to help each other find $1.21. So I'm going to make it a workspace by clicking on it. And just like that, it's converted so that I can put my students into small groups. Any questions? All right, so let's move on. I'm going to showcase 2 other things quickly and then talk about sharing. One thing I forgot to mention here that's kind of a big deal for, I think, for all students, if you have English language learners, if you have special education students, if you have emergent readers or non-emergent readers, in the left side next to your blue bar, you'll see a trash can that deletes a page, a whole page. Next to that, you'll see a guy that looks like he's talking. If I click on him, I can actually record instructions or record information for my students. So I can pull that up. I can click start recording. Today, you and your partner are going to find 2 ways to make $1.21. Each of you are going to find your own way, and then I want you to check each other's work and make sure your ways are different. I can hit pause to review. I can listen. I can continue. I could delete, and then I can add. So it's really great that you can add, and you can add to any page in your lesson, any page, including even YouTube videos. So I didn't want to leave that out without seeing, because I know it's kind of small there. Not everyone notices it, and it's very powerful. So on the left side, I'm going to click on that same blue bar again. And I'm looking in those ready-made resources again, but instead of looking at the green button, my manipulatives, I want you guys to look at the graphic organizers. So when I look at the graphic organizers, there's a lot of things that a lot of different graphic organizers I can do. And I can use these in any way that makes sense for my particular students. So depending on what our goal is, right? And I can make these as interactive as I need to. We have our Cornell notes for our avid students. We have a bunch of other like 3-column notes and things like that are great for those students, but also good for us as well. But I can get into using this in any way that I want to. I have that Venn diagram as well. So with a Venn diagram, for example, again, you can really customize this. So Amanda, for your students where they may not be writing or typing, what we could do is we can actually have, let's say they're comparing birds and butterflies. We could have different pictures that we have around here that they drag and drop in here. It doesn't have to be text heavy. And we can give our students some scaffolding by giving them some words to work with versus some of our older kids, we may have them completely fill out the Venn diagram on their own. So if I am working with some younger students, I might put in some text. So I might say feathers would be one of the words. I could even have pictures instead of, so I could have, let's say I'm gonna have eggs, because if I'm doing bats and butterflies, I can have eggs. Let's see, we'll just use these for now. We won't question the legitimacy of what those eggs should look like. We'll just throw them in here now, but I can personalize, find any of those things. I could put, so for butterfly, I could have a search for a cocoon. So I can have these images that are all outside of the Venn diagram, and I'm not going to lock them. So that way my students can actually physically drag and drop. So they can say, oh, butterflies have cocoons. Maybe butterflies over here, butterflies have cocoons. They don't, They don't have, and oh, and they, you know, have eggs. They're for their babies. Neither of them have feathers. We could have fur over here for our bats. We could have live births over here for our bats. So we can have some different things in place where they just actually drag and drop. So you can have these things sort of outside of the scope. And again, we can have text there for our older students, or we can leave it completely blank and let them create their Venn diagrams as well. Any questions about that? Yes, Amanda.
I do have a, sorry, I'm really loud on this computer. So if I go back to I was doing this, your second page where you did coins, I was doing shapes. So if I took away one that now I want it back on there, how do I get it back?
So you won't come back, but you can just come back to the manipulatives because it's disappeared
Oh, okay.
forever. But if you come back to the manipulatives and you want that shapes, like maybe you're doing these sorting shapes, you can just click it back and you have all the shapes again. So you can also personalize this, right? Maybe you're going to only have you're going to have like 3 or 4 different activities and you're going to take different shapes away for different activities. You can do that as well.
Okay, good.
Great question.
That was my question.
Great question. The last thing, I know we only have about 3 minutes left, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but one other thing I wanted to show you guys really quickly in that same blue bar on the bottom left is we have that shout out. I forgot to walk you guys through that step. So same thing, shout out's very simple. I can click on it. I have the same kind of wizard that walks me through how to use it. I can put an optional question here. So I could say words rhyming, share rhyming words. And maybe for today, we're going to do rhyming words that rhyme with cat or dog or duck or frog or something like that. What I can do is I can personalize this. So in the left side, I'm going to have my students share text this time. I can share how many times a student can share. If we're brainstorming, I want to give them lots of chances. I can choose to show or hide names. And then I can hit next. Now I can keep it classic, but here's where I want to use the image to show them what I'm looking for rhyming wise. So I'm going to click on custom. And John, this is where we talked about where you could put a map of the world or a map of a particular place and add that too. I'm going to do custom and click next. And in the gray box in the top right corner, there's a mountain. And when I click on that, it's going to give me the option to change. To change the background, you're actually just going to look in the middle part. You don't have to worry about anything up here under the top. Just right in the middle, you're going to click on those mountains again. And I can do a being safe search or find an image off my device. If I want words rhyming with frog, I'm just going to search for frog. And I think I want frog clip art. So I'm going to search for frog clip art. Although using real pictures of frogs might be good if we are thinking about brainstorming things related to that. So I'm just going to find a cute little frog and I'm going to click OK. And now it's added that frog. So now what my students will see, I'm going to hit start for a second so we can showcase this. When I hit finish editing, it takes me back to my main dashboard here and I can actually hover over and start my lesson. And what you'll see with that shout it out that I just did, I'm going to start for class, is that your kids will see that word, that picture of the frog. And so now they'll share words that rhyme with frog. So dog, log, you know, and they can sound those out and they'll land right here on this page, which is really neat. So I know we're right at our end of our time. I want to just quickly show you guys one of the things here, because I kind of closed out quickly. Notice that mine says untitled. This is saving into your Google Drive. And if you've ever searched Google Drive for untitled, it's a scary thing. So you always want to make sure you are giving it a title of some sort. It will save automatically. Do not close it until it says saved past tense. Once you've done that, you can hit finish editing and it will take you back to your main Smart page. If I hover over, I can start my lesson or edit my lesson. And those 3 dots allow me to Again, edit my lesson. I can make a copy. So John, and I know that you have multiple classes. You'd want to have a copy for each class period. I think, Jane, you work with different groups of students too. And if you teach the same lesson, you might want to make a copy of it. You also can get a share link. So you can share a lesson you built with your fellow teachers. So other teachers that are doing the same thing you are. Or you can also get a share link for students to access and work on this activity asynchronously by themselves that you can put in your Canvas account. You will always find your lessons here, but there's a lot, like, depending on how you build. I have a lot of lessons. So if I want to find something from way before, it can be a little bit tricky. But the really exciting news is, for me, all of my lessons are actually saved into my drive. They're always saved in here. So I can find these lessons that I've built. So here's that playground lesson I built right inside my drive. I can launch it right here too. So I can double click this lesson and it will start for my students. But if you ever can't find a lesson in your drive, if you go to New, More, Smart Learning Suite, it's always going to open this page for you to also help you find your lesson. Any questions? Okay. I know we're 2 minutes over, so I really appreciate your time. I know it's hard at the end of the day, so thank you for joining us. If you do have any additional questions, you can reach out and email me. My email address is on the files that Kelly shared with you. I'm happy to share resources or answer any questions as well.
I know, I've got stuff I want.
Any questions?
We didn't get time to go over this, but one thing I'll encourage you guys to do if you want to play around is this blue button, Explore Resources. There's a bunch of ready-made activities that are already here that you can explore and might want to use with your students. There's some sight word things that might be helpful for you, Amanda, down here. There's a lot of different things that you'll notice and are featured in several other places. We have a lot of different activities that just went live today that incorporate that word search component as well. So I know there's some Earth Day activities, all sorts of fun. So I encourage you to look at those. Any of these activities you can click on and you can actually save to my library and you can test it out in real time too. So if you want to see it before you choose to add it, you can test it out and see whether you like it. And then you can save it to your library. It will save it to your main Smart Learning Suite Online account and inside your Google Drive. So you can find that lesson in both places. So I know we didn't have time to spend playing around in there today, but I encourage you guys to hit that blue button and play around and see if you see anything that might be helpful with your students.
And Jane, there's some really good SEL ones in there in the
Okay.
emotional section. I was actually digging into those the other day. And there's some really cute ones. I think that would be good that I want to start highlighting in some of my trainings.
Nice.
Yeah,
So
some good ones.
again,
There's like
they're already
positive
made for us.
words, some effective. There's all sorts of fun things in here for sure.
All about just helping out and making it easy for the teachers.
Right.
So, all right. Well, if there are no questions, thank you again for spending the time with us today. Just a reminder, again, Casey and I are back next week on how to create voice and choice in asynchronous lessons. And then we only have one more, April 21st. But definitely come back. And like I said, Casey will be with us. I will book her for the summer and some other times. So reach out to her. She's put her email address again in the chat. So know that if you can't get a hold of me, Casey's there too.
Thank y'all so much. It was really good.
Well,
Thank
thanks
you.
for coming.
And Amanda, what I make in for shapes and numbers, I'll send to you. And then maybe we'll just have to have an appointment where I come and play with the kids.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Kelly, I'll send you too. I have a file of a bunch of pre-K, K type activities of counting, shapes, things. I kind of put them all in one space, but you can make copies and delete pages so you can narrow it down, but I'll send it to you.
Perfect.
It might
Thank
be
y'all
helpful.
so much. It would be
You bet.
awesome.
And John, I want to come out and see you and, learn some world history, geography and everything. So I
Yes,
definitely
ma'am.
need to come out to Lanier and see, because you've been coming and learning. I know you're implementing it. So great job.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Well, have a good evening, everybody.
You
Take
too.
care.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.